All right, one more 6-minute sermon here about Genesis 1:4. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. I want to focus on that word, good. And God saw that the light was good. And then the question should come in our mind, good for what? And second, why does God need to see and examine whether something was good or not? I mean, he's the one who made it. I think the point is going to lie in this direction here. God is not so much figuring out, oh yeah, this was pretty good, this stuff that I made, but rather he was declaring it was good according to his purpose. So good for what? Good according to what he had created this creation for. And we'll come back to that again. I think maybe today or tomorrow. And then God saw that the light was good. He, in saying that, he was declaring, this is the good thing. All right, so let's come back to that idea. Good for what? Good for his plan and purpose for creating all things, including mankind. All right, so that's going to begin to take us back to that question. Why is God doing all this? Why is God, who has no needs beyond himself, why is he devoting the effort and energy? And later on, we'll see the pain that he will endure. Why is God doing all this? What's his point? And that, of course, very close to the larger question for us, what's the point of the universe? And there are a lot of people who say the universe would have no point. And even more who live without understanding that the universe has a point and their own life has a purpose then within that. But here God is telling us it is good because it conforms to his purpose. He's not saying it's morally good. He's saying it is the good thing that I bring forth for this good purpose. And what is that? I think you'd have to say it in one word. One word, which is the purpose and meaning of all things, the purpose and meaning of creation. And that word is love. Love. Love is behind all things that happen. Love is behind the universe being created. We're told in 1 John twice, God is love. Now, that seems to be distinct from the way that God is described as other things. God has all power. God knows all things, but God is love. There's almost an equation to say that love, properly understood in its meaning and intensity, is synonymous with God himself. Now, don't read that as saying God's not personal, that he's just this impersonal force called love. No, not at all. But the idea is that God is so identified with love in his essence that he is willing in his word to be described that way. And that would mean that anything we're going to ask about the purpose of his creation is going to tie back into that. Now, let's think through this a little bit more. Was there anything before creation? And again, since time would begin with creation, we're thinking more of a logical sequence than a temporal one. But was there anything logically sequential or before creation that might have been the cause to bring it forth? And yes, there is an answer to that. There is something that exists before creation, if we use that term, or something that existed apart from this creation. Something that if God had never created this, or if this creation was completely obliterated, would still be here. What is that? Well, obviously it's God himself, but beyond that, it is love. It is love. Now, I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to look in the Gospel of John. In John 14 and 15 and 16 and 17, and you will see Jesus saying, Father, I want them to see the love that you had for me before the world began. before the world began. Before the world began, there was already love because the three persons of the Trinity were dwelling together in that relationship. And that doesn't just mean affection, it means that obviously. But the idea is that the very nature of the Trinity, the three persons give of themselves for the ultimate good of the other. And that's really the best definition of love. Giving of one myself to the purpose for the good of another. Before creation began, there was love in the Trinity. And so I think the best way to describe the purpose of what God is doing is that out of love, he is expanding that Trinitarian circle of love to include creatures like us and to create a world in which we can thrive. We'll come back to that tomorrow. But maybe just for today, meditate upon that idea. Meditate upon that idea that God is love. He creates all things out of that loving purpose, including me. I have nothing to fear from this God if I am in Christ, because I am fully loved, and it's the strongest thing in the universe. Thanks.